I don't know what to do. I've given him 3 years to figure this out. My fears say, what if I'm never romantically loved again for the rest of my life? Welcome back to They Did What? Your source for the internet's craziest, most entertaining stories, where I go over them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today, I'm going to go over a story titled, He Doesn't Love Me, But Wants to Stay Married. And guys, this story is about a wife and mother, she's 41 years old, who's having the biggest crybaby fest I've heard in a while because her husband has pretty much told her that, yeah, I'm still with you, but I'm not in love with you, or I don't love you. And why is that? Because you're going to find out that she has cheated on him, to his knowledge, 3 separate times. And yet, has a reason usually to blame it on other things really but herself. Circumstances, him, stuff like that. And any surprise that this guy completely is numb and is checked out and is clearly staying in it for the kids. And I thought it'd be a funny one to go over here, how she never ceases to amaze me when people do really awful things, how so many times there's zero accountability. There's always me, feel bad for me, and blame it on everybody else other than the fact that I'm just really an awful human being. And at the end of the day, guys, this story proves once a cheater, always a cheater. And sadly, in this one, you're going to find that this guy doesn't find out until after they're married. This started before they were even married. And you got to do your homework. You got to do digging and finding out. It's almost like nowadays, any guys in a relationship more than 6 months has to do some digging and have a PI investigate things, because you just never know. Especially if you're going to marry a woman. Really, PI business should be going through the roof nowadays. Although marriages are very much on the decline in the West, so who knows. But anyhow, that'll be going to go over here proving that point, and also hearing this big giant crybaby fest from her and all her reasoning behind it. The boo-hoo fest never ceases to amaze me. She says, I've been wanting to ask for advice here for so long, but I've been afraid to. Here goes. It's a long, convoluted story, but I'll try to only include important details. She's been afraid to post here online because she knows darn well she's going to get roasted and torn apart in the comment section, and she deserves it. I'm 41 years old, and I've been with my husband for the last 22 years, married for 16. We met in college, graduated, and did the long-distance thing. In that long-distance period, after dating for 4 years, I made a one-time drunken mistake with a friend, but cut it off and never happened again. So here we go. Now, I'm not buying this whole one-time thing. And not to mention, she already blaming it on the alcohol. My husband, then boyfriend, eventually moved in with me in a house that I bought, and at this point we've been together for 6-ish years. I was the breadwinner and a software developer. I was confused as to why we hadn't gotten engaged yet, and I was sad about it. I ended up getting involved with a coworker who I was taking taekwondo classes with. My husband eventually proposed, everything was cut off with the affair partner number 2, and we went on to have 2 kids. He was a stay-at-home dad, and we had pretty much a happy life. Second incident of cheating that she's mentioning here. So notice when she isn't getting her way, or she's probably by herself, she has to find a reason to cheat. Once a cheater, always a cheater. And obviously he doesn't know, this guy didn't know about her cheating in college, and obviously didn't know about cheating with this guy, and because he didn't propose to me. But notice she said that she's the breadwinner. I've been saying lots of times it's a bad situation when the wife is the one that either is the sole breadwinner and the husband takes care of he takes the role as the mom with the kids, or makes a lot more. It's always a better dynamic when the husband is the breadwinner and she's the stay-at-home mom and takes care of the kids, or he makes more and she feels like she's got a prize because he makes a lot more money and has the status and the title. When it's opposite, it's not very good. I eventually got on a project where I had to travel 1 week of the month, and it forced me to spend time with a particularly outrageous flirt of a coworker. It wasn't his fault. I own my mistakes, but long days of lonely travel got the best of me. Well, you already are starting to blame him by saying he's an outrageous flirt. So you're already setting the stage that it's his doing, not yours. It wasn't his fault. I own my mistakes, but long blah, blah, blah. After a couple months, my better half found out about just this affair partner. I didn't come clean about the other 2 before we got married. This is an example of trickle truth. He found out about this one, and she probably told him what he needed to know, but didn't mention the other guys, that type of thing. Everything was cut off. Travel was rearranged after uncomfortable talk with my manager, and we went to marriage counseling. This was about 11 years ago. Since then, my phone has been open, all passwords he knows where I am, who I'm with, and that I'll be home and everything. What followed were the happiest 2 years of my life. Yeah, well, smack to him for not ending it with her. He probably didn't end it with her because of the kids. And if she was the sole breadwinner or made more money, guess what? Unless they were in a no-fault divorce state, if they were in an at-fault divorce state, he could have made out quite well, since she was either the sole breadwinner or made more money. But I'm guessing they were probably in a no-fault divorce state or something like that. So, and because she's the mom, she would have gotten a better deal. But regardless, he should have stayed with her. Cheated 3 times. A whole history of this. We used to write in our journals every night 3 things we were grateful for and then trade before bed and read each other's diaries. That made me feel so close to him. He would write about his emotional struggles, about how I was able to comfort him by talking it through. Oh, for God's sakes. Yeah, I'm sure that turned her on. All this work for a freaking serial cheater. Now, soon we're going to hear her whining and complaining. I worked on myself big time in individual counseling, as every other wayward spouse here can likely relate to. I never ever stopped loving my husband. What a load of crap. You don't love him. Come on, your actions communicate. Your actions demonstrate. That's what I meant to say. That you don't love him. Because if you truly loved him, you wouldn't have cheated on him not once, not twice, but 3 times. And I'm sure, I'm willing to bet all the money I have and all the money I will ever make till the day I die that there's been more than 3 different dudes that she was cheating with. There is no freaking way. Then this is probably going to sound like a soap opera because it's so effing unbelievable, but I swear it's true. My little sister started dating my affair partner from college. The one-night stand. I tried to discourage it, but my pride wouldn't let me admit to my sister what I'd done to my better half. And so I didn't tell her. Huge regret. Well, isn't that interesting? The affair partner number 1 and my little sister got engaged. I had lunch with him, and it had been over 10 years since him and I did that stupid thing, and we decided it had nothing to do with the current relationship. Nothing good can come from telling her, and it'd be best to just bury that down 1,000,000 feet underground and pretend it never happened. Yeah, well, things tend to come to the surface. All lies eventually become revealed eventually. So, her sister has no idea the guy she's with, the sister hooked up with, and the husband has no idea about this whole situation. This is her way of handling it. Remember Miss, I've been going to therapy and working on myself and all that? Well, clearly she didn't learn anything about being honest. My sister is a very nosy sort. And affair partner number 1 is a type that has mostly female friends. She started going through his history with a fine-tooth comb and somehow managed to pry the truth out of him. She called me 19 days before their wedding and asked for the truth, which I told her. Unfortunately, my husband overheard me. At that point, I came clean about everything. He said after a couple of days that he forgave me and still loved me. Smack! That jackass. And I half wonder it's for the kids or simply he's just that type. There's a point where if a guy is with someone who cheats on him and does it again and he keeps sliding it under the rug and allowing it or not ending it with her, then at that point, even though she's the big a-hole for the cheating, he's just as much of a dumbass for staying with her. And at that point, then you can't feel bad for him. At least I don't. He said after a couple of days, they forgave me and still loved me, but made an excuse not to go to her wedding, which is understandable, and refused to be in the same room as him. It was tough, but I thought we survived it. Fast forward about 5 years ago, my husband landed his dream job on the other side of the country. It was a very exclusive position in a niche field that he'd been freelancing in while being a stay-at-home dad. And it was pretty incredible. I was so proud of him. I left my home that I love, my clubs, my friends, my family, and job of 14 years, and followed him. I thought it'd be a wonderful way to start over and renew our marriage. Well, it just occurred to me. I don't think she told him about the affair number 2. She told him about the guy that she hooked up with in college when they were boyfriend and girlfriend, and he knew about the 3rd one, but it sounds like he doesn't know about the other one. After 2 years out there, 3 years ago, I could tell he was getting more and more distant. I tried a bunch of things to reconnect, but finally just asked him, why does it seem like I want to spend time with you much more than you want to spend time with me? Oh, you mean she actually has a problem that he's backing away a little bit? That he may have a hard time connecting with her? That tends to happen when you're with someone who's a serial cheater and a liar and manipulator and a gaslighter and all that. She's complaining. This reply shocked me to my core. He says, because I don't love you, and I haven't for the past 5 years. Woo! The waterworks. Why me? We have been all over the place in the last 3 years, since I came out. He knew he didn't love me, and when he moved us across the country. He originally thought he wanted out, and then decided he didn't, and now it's just this weird liminal state of uncertainty and stress. I've loved this man half my life. For half our marriage, he hasn't loved me. But I don't want to give up on him and the idea of a happy marriage. Loved him your whole life? Loved him half your life that you've been with him? Are you kidding me? You repeatedly cheated on him, and lied to him, and gaslighted him, manipulated him. You don't love him. This is what these people say. And the reality is, she probably doesn't understand why she cheats. A lot of them don't. The reality is because you have no respect for him. And, well, one can argue, well, if he keeps taking her back, of course she doesn't respect him. It's a big mess. He's probably just staying in for the kids. We are in marriage counseling right now. We've always treated each other with very, very well, and the marriage counseling constantly points out to us all the ways we align where a lot of couples struggle. Finances, kids, respect, and communication. Respect and communication, really, is that what they're really saying that they align in? I've worked my tail off to be a good person, to earn some karmatic points in the grand scheme of the universe, to be the best person, wife, and mother I can be, but he still doesn't love me. I wouldn't love you either after all that. And it's actually, you have to work your tail off to be a good person. That says you're not a good person. He says he still does care about me, doesn't want to hurt me or waste my time. Fears he can't give me what I need, still finds me attractive, though he has very low libido. And isn't resentful, but he's just broken. Well, you can't blame him for being broken and not loving you because he doesn't trust you. You can't have a relationship or really love without trust. Of course he doesn't trust you, and of course he's broken. He's probably just waiting for the kids to graduate and become legal adults and get rid of her. He has only said the words, I don't love you, once in those 3 years, when he first told me, but since he hasn't refuted it. I don't know what to do. I've given him 3 years to figure this out. My fears say, what if I'm never romantically loved again for the rest of my life? Have you done anything to deserve to be romantically loved by this guy who you've cheated on repeatedly? What if I stay with him, he heals, and then he leaves me? What if we get the kids through school, it isn't a toxic household, and there's still joy and never any fighting? Can I live with that? Kids are 12 and 14 years old. Okay, so he's got 6 years until the youngest is 18 and he can leave. If he does decide he loves me, something I want more than anything, am I actually going to be able to believe him? He lied about it for 5 years. And that is the end of her giant crybaby fest. Now, before I get into comments, I got to say a few things. Once again, this proves, like I said in the beginning, once a cheater, always a cheater, and you have to do your homework on someone. And the sad thing is that this all started coming out after he was married to her and had kids. But look at her, just never-ending making excuses for this. Now, in the comment section, I'm going to point out, the comment section actually is, what I wrote down here is her responding to different comments from people. And wait till you hear the justification she has for some of this stuff. It's unbelievable, because cheaters always find a way to justify their actions. It's amazing to me. But anyhow, this guy needs to end it with her and move on. And I'm willing to bet you he's just so broken down and worn down, doesn't understand what a lot of you guys understand by listening to this work, didn't have the strength and balls to end it with her, and probably just waiting, biding his time until the kids are old enough. That's what I'm guessing he's doing. But in reality, he should end it with her, walk away, and move the hell on. But obviously in the best way for the kids. Now, here we go with the comments. The first one that she says, this is reacting to something. She says, this was a very abbreviated snapshot of 20 years of my life, and I'm sure a lot can be read into it. The facts paint me as a pretty effing awful person, but I am not. I am laying out all of my sins, knowing I'll be torn to shreds. Lady, you are an awful person. You know, if it was one time in college and you went and told him and gave him the opportunity to make the choice whether to stay with you and give you a second chance or not, that would have been one thing. But it happened in college, it happened with another coworker and somebody else. I can't keep track at this point, but there were 3 incidences. And only because he found out, not because you went and told him. So I don't want to hear that you're anything but an awful person. I'm laying out all my sins knowing I'll be torn apart to shreds. I know better, and I've done better. I'm a good person because I chose to be every day. I've been a faithful partner for well over a decade. Oh, whoopee, like we believe you. I made the choice not to expose the previous affairs because I knew that it would only cause harm to everyone involved. No, you didn't. You chose not to tell him because that it would probably jeopardize your marriage even more, and you didn't want to get divorced. That's why I didn't tell him. You took the easy way out. My husband even said as much. He wished he never found out and would not have. No, but deep down he'd want to know. I've been in individual counseling once a week for the last 14 years. Maybe that ought to tell him that you have many more skeletons in your closet you haven't revealed. Once a week for 14 years? How much did that cost? I've torn apart my soul to find the deep down reasons why I made the decisions I did. I don't know, because you're an a-hole, but probably because the affair partners gave you the butterflies and the uncertainty and everything. Well, the guy you're with gave you absolute certainty. You knew no matter what, he wasn't going to go anywhere. You were no doubt bored with him. He was just the guy you married to have his last name because he was a sure thing. Things like that. You just don't understand why you're not attracted to him. And of course, you were the breadwinner and things like that. I'm sure you don't want to hear about those. I cried every day for 2 years straight and damn near every day for the past year. Yeah, like we feel bad for your waterworks, honey. Just because I hurt him doesn't mean I haven't also been hurt. I am still bearing the consequences. I don't know why he wants to stay with me after this, but that's what he says. I don't know what to do. Too bad. This uncertainty, you earned this. And you know what? He has a right to eventually be broken. Guess what? If the situation was reversed, you'd probably be broken too. He's probably standing for the kids and going to divorce your ass when the youngest is 18 years old. Another one. She said, I'm going to have to sit and wait for a reply for a while. Now she's going to get into the different affair partners and try to justify her actions. She says, affair partner number 1, the long distance thing. The better half would go all week without talking to me if I didn't call him. That sucked. We saw each other on the weekends. I was lonely. Okay, so I was lonely, therefore I cheated on him. Instead of just breaking up with him because the long distance thing isn't working, I cheated. That's my excuse. Affair partner number 2. I was wondering why we weren't engaged after 6 years. College degrees, jobs, house. He has a serious video game addiction at the time. I was lonely. Again, she's lonely. Instead of communicating better with him and talking to him, who knows, and blaming him because of the video games, I'm going to have an affair. Affair partner number 3. The travel and forced time together plus the nature of the affair partner number 3 made this one the hardest. But it was also the forced time apart from my husband and lack of communication from him. He has ADHD and struggles with out of sight, out of mind. I was lonely. Maybe you get a dog to deal with your loneliness. She says, I'm not trying to justify my actions. Yes, you were. That's exactly what you were doing. I'm looking at the circumstances surrounding each. He never deserved any of it. Was I looking to fill a need that was missing? Let's be honest, yes. Am I always going to want more? God, I hope not. Can I feel satisfied with a loveless marriage? No, who could? But maybe I don't get to feel satisfied. Maybe that's what I deserve. I want better for him, though. If you truly wanted better for your husband, you would have divorced and let him move on and heal and hopefully find someone that can actually treat him like a decent human being, not like the way you've been treating him repeatedly for years. And she can go on. I've been in individual counseling for years, and we shared each other's diary before we went to bed or whatever bullshit she was babbling about. But no. I also feel bad for those kids because their mother is a serial cheater. And I guarantee those kids are picking up on the loveless marriage that their parents have, and they may think this is normal, and then they could one day be in situations just like this. Another thing she says, the shock and confusion of finding out he doesn't love me was because he never and still does not treat me with any sort of disdain or resentment. He would tell me he loved me every day. We had worked really hard on our relationship, and I'd worked really hard on myself individually. He actually never intended to tell me. I just happened to corner him and ask the right question at the right time because I could feel there was something off. But I definitely did not think it was that. He had intended to just keep saying he loved me and hoping it would eventually be true. Because he's broken down, because he's numb. That would happen to anybody that who cared about someone greatly and they were repeatedly betrayed. He knows about every affair. Sure. I told him everything on D-Day too. He didn't confide in anyone. He didn't go into therapy, even though I encouraged it. The wound didn't heal clean, if at all, and left a big, nasty, twisted scar. We would talk about it together, but I imagine there's only so much comfort he can take from me. Every day he sees you, he pictures you with other guys. Every time you're on your phone, he's picturing you texting some other guys. Every time you go on a work trip, He's picturing what happened. Do you get the point? Do you see what this does to somebody? Every time he sees his kids, he might think, are those kids mine? And by the way, this guy should definitely gotten tests on his kids to find out, really. An STD test, I might add. Everything you point out is spot on. And maybe for me looking for an excuse to leave, that's not my fault. I don't think that's true. I don't know what I'm looking for. On the other way to bring back, other than a way to bring back joy into our lives again. Really, there was no joy in your lives. If there was joy in your lives, you wouldn't have done what you did repeatedly. And last one, my better half likes my sister and is friendly towards her. But I'm sure you can imagine family get-togethers are still awkward. My better half and my brother-in-law are rarely, if ever, in the same room. And since we moved, better half has opted to not travel back with me when I visit. I know why he lost all love and trust for me. I just thought we had a successful relationship and was so surprised when I found that despite feeling like a loving relationship, he was just very good at pretending. That was a shocker after 5 years of relationship. Boo-hoo, you brought this on yourself, okay? So guys, what can we learn here? Once a cheater, always a cheater. If you find out she's cheating or cheated, it's best to really do some deep thinking and end it. And yeah, when you have kids, it's a tough situation, of course. But someone like that typically will keep doing it and doing it, as she has. And I just do not buy that it was just those 3 times. And how she's like, I'm not trying to make excuses, but she kept saying she was lonely or other things. Or blaming him not communicating as much or on video games and stuff like that. Well, maybe because his sixth sense told him something was wrong. I don't know. So guys, someone's cheating on you, end it. Please. Otherwise, you're going to have a marriage like this. And I think he's just too worn down and weakened by this whole thing to end it with her. Or he's just biding his time till they're 18 years old, so he doesn't have to get hammered with child support and other bullshit. So anyhow, guys, that'll be a good one to go over here. All right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let us think about this. And guys, you find a good story to share, definitely email to me, strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com. Whether it's something crazy or some big crybaby fest like this, whatever, send it my way. And be sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.